Welcome to Friday Night Firelight, presented by Mortal Up. I'm Brian Brawdy, your host, broadcasting with Telestream's Wirecast, and sponsored by Nutrient Survival at nutrientsurvival.com, and of course, Firebugs at Firebugs, that's BUGGZ.com. Good evening and welcome to an all-new and alive Friday Night Firelight. Now, you may be recognizing my co-host, my piece of driftwood that I found alongside of the road, and that is to say that we're in an inside studio downstairs this evening, one of four downstairs studios that we have. But we're in a downstairs studio this evening because, to be honest, I planned somewhat for the weather. When I first came up with this concept, admittedly, I didn't realize it was going to be below zero. I didn't realize it would be that cold, it'd be snowing and winding and everything else, right? And then as the summer wore on, it was some moths, some mosquitoes and everything else. We had all that taken care of. Then once it warmed up, the rain hit, and the rain really hit. So then we got Insta-Up tents, we got umbrellas, we got boom mics, which handle all kinds of moisture, so we're all set. But what we're never prepared for, because we're out and about in the middle of the evening of the Friday night, we weren't prepared for the heavy winds and the lightning strikes. So yes, we can do it in the rain. Yes, we can do it in the snow, and to a certain degree, some wind, right? So that the sandbags don't lift everything up off the ground, blow the lights over and everything else. But sometimes the lightning gets just a bit iffy, so we decide that it's probably better than everyone going, "Ooh, there's lightning hitting all around you." And don't get me wrong, I do. Who doesn't like a good lightning storm from time to time? But we thought it best that we would move inside this evening because there is so much to talk about. First, let me thank our sponsors, of course, Firebugs and Firebugs Fun. We talk about them all the time. Whether it's a propane pit, the charcoal wood burning fire pit, or the fire bugs on the fly that we talk about. We'll be showing some video here as the summer wears on. We want to thank Firebugs and all the accoutrement that comes that the kids love. And I'll tell you, let me give you a quick little thing about Firebugs and why I think it's such a green company. When it comes time to make, I know you're thinking, right, a green company? Well, hear me out. When it comes time for going up to trees and peeling off branches and looking for sticks to cook s'mores, you don't have to worry about it. You have the flip stick. You have the Firebug fishing pole, so it really is green, right? We're leaving the little saplings. We're leaving the tree twigs. We're leaving everything else, and we're bringing our own little setup. So I think Firebugs is hands down a green company. Now, talking about our sponsors, I have to mention, of course, Telestream's Wirecast wouldn't be coming live to you if it weren't for our good friends at Telestream. Thank you all so very much. And, of course, Nutrient Survival. And in this day and age with Nutrient Survival, I got to tell you, I talk about nutritional sustenance, right? I talk about, especially when the world around you is going haywire. Maybe your mood is a bit off, or your nerves are. I mean, who can watch the news, the mainstream media, the media mashugana that's going on? Who can watch the news and not just emotionally be taxed, be drained by it? Well, I think, as you well know, that's the point where your immune system, where your physiology has to be up to snuff in order to be able to handle all the incoming. And that's why I love Nutrient Survival. I say all the time, it's good for your body, it's good for your mind. Your muscles are going to vote yes. Your taste buds are absolutely going to vote yes. So you want to check out our good friends at Nutrient Survival as well, because never can tell when emergency is going to strike, and you want to have a full stomach. You want to have all the nutrients you're going to need to be able to face whatever, be it man-made or Mother Nature, whatever they throw at you. Whatever happens, you want to have the nutritional sustenance to make sure that all your systems are a go. All of your spark plugs are firing. Right? Everything's ready to go. So that's why I rely on Nutrient Survival. Please check them out. All right, there's so much to get to this evening. It's been just an absolutely crazy week. Next week, they were ordered in today, but they're being laundered. So I'll have the new uniforms to show you, the Mortal Up uniforms. We'll talk a little bit this evening about the Brian Brawdy intervention. And I need some help. Now, I know that we teased just a little bit ago about I'll show you yours if you show me. I'll show you mine, I guess is the way the saying goes. I'll show you mine if you show me yours. And here's where I am with all the craziness going on in the world today. Over the last couple months, I've spent over 100 hours, if you total it all up, listening. Now, when I get up in the morning and I head out for a ruck, or I head out for a run, or I head out for a pull, right? Because I'm pulling a sled behind me, or I'm rucking with some weight on my back, or I'm going for a run, I always take Audible with me. I take my phone and I hook everything up. So it's the criminal profiler in me, right? It's the old law enforcement in me that I love studying criminals. I like to see what it is that the criminal mind is thinking. Because then, if ultimately you're going to go up against them, then you know what their next steps are going to be, right? You can read the tea leaves as they're busy spreading their wares. You can go ahead, figure out what they're going to do, figure out their next steps, and get there before they are. Then you slap the handcuffs on them. Everything's good. Well, over the last 100 hours or more of working out, I've taken to listening to, again, for the second time, the autobiographies of Lenin, autobiographies of Stalin from the Soviet Union, most certainly the autobiographies of Mao Zedong from China, and even the autobiographies of Adolf Hitler. And I have to tell you, two things jump to mind. One, I come back and I want to take a hot shower, right? I want to take soap, and you can't study and you can't investigate, going back to my old law enforcement days. You can't be a detective and try to study the minds of just pure evil like this without wanting to come, not a cold shower, but I mean like a hot shower. I got sandpaper and I'm trying to get them off me. The second thing that comes to mind is you can't help but look at some of the craziness going on today, where they say you're not allowed to say this, you're not allowed to say that, you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do that. Always look to authority to help you. Always look for the safety net. Oh, don't worry, we're the government, we're here to help. We'll be your rodeo clown. And I will tell you, in studying, and the hundreds of millions of people that they're responsible for their deaths, hundreds of millions of human beings that were here, and then there was Lenin and Stalin and Mao and Hitler, and then they're not here anymore. When you look at some of the things going on today in the mainstream media, when you look at some of the leftist policies, when you look at some of the woke policies, you're not allowed to say this, you're not allowed to say that. It's hard not to think back to the 1940s, 1930s, 1920s, and go, man, that sounds a bit familiar to me. This is exactly how these four guys tried to manipulate the population. And it was all a power struggle. You know, they all come out and say, oh, we're doing it for the good of the people. We're here for this. We're here for that. You study their biographies and you realize how full of crap they absolutely were. They had no intention of doing anything other than bringing power to themselves and a very close-knit group of people around them. They manipulated the media. I got enough was a kerfluffle. Is that better than saying fighting? I mixed it up a little bit with a person the other day on a social media site that said, well, you know, you got to watch out for those cops because they can bring guns, kick in your doors, put handcuffs on you. But I have to tell you, I'm not nearly as worried about the police as I am about propaganda, as I am about the press saying all these different things are going to go down. Because you know who used the press of the day to their advantage? Wait for it. Lenin, Stalin, Mao Zedong, and most certainly Adolf Hitler. Using the ability, using the propaganda to scare the crap out of people. I don't know if you knew this. I only learned about it in my last few go-rounds with autobiographies of Mao Zedong. Not Snow's autobiography. All he ever did was try to talk up Mao Zedong. But when you read the truth about the man, you realize that he never carried a gun. I'm not sure that Mao ever fired a handgun. But that's not what he needed to do. He wielded a sense of fear, a sense of terror, a sense of doom and gloom. And I heard a particular senator, I won't mention his name, bigwig in the Senate, says, look, we got to go back And we have to put the fear of God in our constituents, telling them about, I think it was about the debt ceiling. Oh, if the sky is falling, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. Well, that's not unlike what some of these propaganda information outlets did to help with the rise. And then the subsequent control after the Martians didn't land and go, oh, let me introduce you to Lenin or Stalin, or let me introduce you to Mao or Adolf. They had to rise through the population by scaring the crap out of everyone around them so that what we consider to be normal people, right, which is a sad commentary about you and me if you think about it, but at least you and I know we get to mortal up, we get to be better than the normal, right? But where normal people would do absolutely horrible things because they were told to by their government, because they were afraid of what would happen to them if they were ostracized, if they were called a bad name. And you can't help but think now, where everyone wants you to label you a racist, how is that any different than all the things Mao wanted to label people, or Lenin, or Stalin wanted to label? Oh yeah, he was a big fan of Trotsky's, right? Or Hitler. How is it any different? If you take away the names, and you see now why they don't want anyone studying history, right? Heaven forbid the people in elementary school or high school or college study history. They'd go, wait a minute, it's hitting me. There's something, I get this. I can't afford to have that happen because they know history will repeat itself. You can't have a populace that knows what history is about. So you read these biographies and you go, man, it's like, what did Yogi Berra call it? Deja vu all over again. It's happening right now. Free speech. Freedom of the press, right? Free speech, freedom of the press, freedom of movement. You can't afford, you're going to be outed, you're going to be shadow banned, you're going to be ostracized, you're going to be all these things. Where do you think we learned that from? Lenin, Stalin, Mao, Adolf. History is repeating itself. So now we get back to what I've said all week long. You got to draw your line in the sand. What are you going to tolerate? Then once you decide where your line is, what you're going to tolerate, you square your shoulders, you lead with your chin, and you go, you want to do this? Let's do it. And then in that moment, you decide to mortal up and stand up for what is right. Be undaunted in standing up for what is right. Now, I promised earlier that I would tell you what I was thinking, and then maybe you could share with me what you're thinking. But before I get to that, let me just say this. We're going to be doing the Brian Brawdy intervention very, very shortly, and we're working it out. Wayne will be back next week, and we're figuring out a bunch of different things of the time frames and how often and the guests that we're going to interview, all of this, right? But I'll be going back to my law enforcement investigator mindset, my detective mindset, in trying to figure out some of the mashugana going on now. So we're busy putting all that together. And I would love for you to vote. Do you think we should do it over on Twitter? Yesterday, I know you're tired of hearing me say it, but I say all the time, Irish luck, don't believe the hype. I called it Twit Air, AIR. All excited about going to Twitter. We scooped Tucker Carlson by a full 8 hours. We announced that we were going to be coming to Twitter a full 8 hours before Tucker did. And then I get a text yesterday about this new CEO of Twitter and the World Economic Forum and woke and this and that. And I go, we did say Twitter. We did also say Rumble. So I would like it, if you don't mind, I could use a little bit of a favor. Could you send me a tweet, a Facebook post, a text, or whatever else? Let me know. Where would you like to see the Brian Brawdy intervention land? Would you like to see it on Twitter? Wanted to believe up until yesterday. Now that this new CEO has been named, I got to tell you, I don't know. When you look at some of the past track record about social justice, where have we heard that before? So I don't know, but I would be super appreciative to get your vote. Should it be Rumble? Should it be Twitter? Let's go ahead and decide together. But that will be the home, at least of the live broadcast of the Brian Brawdy intervention. All right, so now thank you for letting me get all that off my chest. line in the sand for me. I said I would show you yours if you would show me mine. Now, if you've been following me any of this time, or you know anything about me, I'm very, very blessed to have 5 children. And there's a bit of a quid pro quo ricocheting around in my mind. I gave my word. I decided, because when you think about it, if you're a parent, you invited your kids here. Now, someone could go, well, I really wasn't planning. Okay, fair enough, but there came some stage where you were like, all right, I'm excited about having my children here. And with that invitation came the belief that we were going to be able to pass the baton. We were going to be able to make their life better than ours had been. Hopefully our parents had worked to make our lives better than theirs had been. But we were going to make their lives better. That's the word, at least that's how I feel. That's the word I gave. I gave my word to try to make a future, to pass the baton onto them. And when I look at their faces today and their futures for tomorrow, I got to tell you, I'm not as confident as I used to be. So when it comes to the Brian Brawdy intervention, when it comes to always suggesting, look, draw your line in the sand, be undaunted. What will you tolerate? And what do you absolutely refuse to tolerate? Well, for me, I promised my kids their future would be better than mine was. And I'm going to do whatever I have to. Now, we'll be sending emails out to the sponsors. I'm very, very lucky to have Nutrient Survival and of course, Firebugs as sponsors for Friday Night Firelight. But the Brian Brawdy intervention is going to be a little bit more probably than we've ever done. And it's because of that very reason. I feel right now, my line in the sand is I'm going to do everything I can while I'm still alive. Very, 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 very shortly, I celebrate, right? I'm the ripe old age of ripe, right? I'm the ripe old age pretty soon of 60-something. And I'm going to spend the time and the energy. I'm going to spend the days, the wherewithal that I have left on this planet. I'm going to spend that time making certain that I can turn the future over to my kids, believing in my heart that they're going to get a great run at it. They're going to get a better run than I had at it. So when it comes to standing up for the woke, standing up to the woke, when it comes to standing up to all these social welfare mashugana people, all these people that are convinced that you're one thing or another, even though you know you're not, all these people trying to badmouth you, all these people trying to water you down. I've been saying for years that I'm avidly you. That is, if you're a human being that is willing to mortal up and to bring this battle that I'm embarking on, to bring this battle with you so that we can make the future for our children and our grandchildren or our nieces and nephews. Maybe you don't have kids. Maybe you're not married. Maybe which is great. Maybe you can go, I'll do it for my neighbor's kids. But that we can bring the battle and go, we're not going to tolerate it anymore. We're not going to stand up for this craziness because in the end, that's in fact what it is. It's what the greatest serial killers, the masterminds. Oh, people go, oh, you mean like Ted Bundy? No, I mean like Mao Zedong. Oh, you mean like Gacy? No, I mean like Adolf Hitler. Oh, well, you must be talking about, no, I'm not talking about any of those. FBI can criminal profile any of the people we want, any of the people you want. I'm talking about in history, the foremost, and there's a lot more than just these 4. There's just not enough hours in the day to listen to all the biographies, but that these 4, I'm going to do what I can to make sure there isn't a leftist, there isn't a Marxist, there isn't a totalitarian future waiting for my kids. Now I'm just one little guy. What can I do? Probably nothing at all, except I'll know that I can get ready in my final moments. I'll be able to check out going, I damn well did everything I could. Did it amount to much? I don't know, but my children will know that I tried. My friends and family will know that I tried. I will do what I can to stand up to the craziness because human beings, as individuals, are not as bad as everyone is making us out to be. And the reason that they're doing it is that they want power, absolutely void of the ability to generate their own personal power. They have to subjugate other people. Now, we'll talk in future shows about why I believe that is. When you can't manifest a power of your own, you tend to subjugate other people because you're offended by the fact that they have a personal power, right? Oh, they're property owners. Oh, they're this. Oh, they're that. Oh, they're all the different names, all the different finger pointing, all the different things that have been used throughout the histories of political power, especially leftist and Marxist. All the things that have been used, all the tricks and the tips and the techniques, we're going to expose them all. And we're going to call them out. Not that we're making this up, but we're saying, look, here's what history tells us is going to happen, because it's happening right now. And then you and I are going to be in the point where we're going to have to look in the mirror and go, yeah, we just put our hands up. You know, I told a friend of mine, Dave, today, imagine we're at a restaurant, we're having dinner in a huge bodybuilding barn of a guy, right? Hell's Angel or whoever, right? Some just big brawler walks in and picks a fight, and you go, oh, no. My chicken wings, these chicken wings are to die for. No, I'm not going to die for them, but they're really good chicken wings, and they just got here. So here's my 6-year-old son, or here's my 21-year-old son. I'm going to send my kids out to the parking lot to fight with you so that, why? Because these chicken wings, I'm telling you, they're great. And they came with fries. They're just spectacular. What would you think of me if I let one of my young boys or one of my young daughters, I'm not being sexist, what would you think if I let one of my young kids go and fight a battle that I'm groomed for, that I'm built for, that I've been trained for? What would you think of me if I went and said, nah, you go ahead and take care of this for me? What kind of human being would I be? So the Brian Brawdy intervention is going to do just that. We're going to call out these people, where they live, where they work, with what they say and what they do. And then we're going to highlight, because it's all from the same playbook. It's all from the same playbook. The Lex Luthors of the world, they use the same playbook. We're going to call them out for the Lex Luthors that they are, because we're going to do what we can right now to protect our children and our grandchildren and our nieces and nephews, to protect the future for our kids. Because, again, you cannot study past political history when it comes to leftist Marxism, when it comes to communism, when it comes to totalitarianism. You cannot study that at all and believe the propaganda that they were doing it for the people. They were doing it for the peasants. It's a groundswell. It's an uprising. It's all bullshit. And the Brian Brawdy intervention is going to call it out. One press release, one news story, one tweet, one Facebook post, one LinkedIn post, one blathering at a time. We're going to start calling these people out because it is the right thing to do. Now, everyone else is like, look, just go about your life. Don't bother reading these biographies. If you take my word for it, I wouldn't lie to you. If you take my word for it, it just makes your skin crawl. I'll read the biographies, and then I'll report to you what's being said now, and then you can just pay attention to what's going on now, because most of us, we just want to live our life. We just want to have fun with our families. We want to go on vacation. We want to watch some sports, maybe have a decent meal every so often. I know, so we're too busy to have been doing all the back work, all the investigation. Let me handle the investigation of how history is repeating itself. I'll bring it to you. We'll bring it to you with the Brian Brawdy intervention. And then you can take a quick little, maybe a 20-minute victory. You can take a quick little time out to see what's going on and see if in your heart you feel we're drawing the proper correlation. All right, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Before we do, because I try to keep these to 20 minutes as promised, I want to thank again Firebugs for all of everything that they do for me and my family when it comes to the fire pits, when it comes to the flip sticks, just everything. And again, we're going to do our best as the temperature warms up and the rainfall goes down. We're going to do our best to highlight all the different cool things that you can get from them. Of course, Telestream's Wirecast, we couldn't be coming to you live if it weren't for Telestream and Nutrient Survival. As I say, never settle, never surrender, Nutrient Survival. They like to say, feed your freedom. I like to think of it, feed your passion, right? Have the nutritional sustenance you need to live life on your terms. So I want to thank our sponsors. Thank you all so very much for hanging out with me. And don't forget, if you can comment here and do you think we should go to Twitter? Do you think we should go to Rumble? Where do you think the Brian Brawdy intervention would be? And then we'll tally all that. And here within the next couple of weeks, I would imagine we're going to be making the call for sure. So I'd really appreciate your counsel. I'd really appreciate your vote in letting me know where you think we should land. All right, everybody, have an absolutely great weekend. Sorry that we're not out near the fire, although the lightning strikes, it probably could have started its own fire. All right, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Have a great weekend, and we will see you next week. Good night, everybody.